Recorded live from Portland, Oregon, it's the Transamorous Network podcast. Let's get it on. It's the Transamorous Network podcast. I'm Perry.
I'm Remy.
And I'm Shannon. We're feeling very whatever that is today.
We're going to keep this one short and sweet and hot.
Okay.
Speaking of hot, we're kind of hot on the mic. Let me turn this thing down just a little bit.
Okay.
We're in the news today.
Yeah.
Because
Are we okay? And
come on, ladies.
Because UCLA has released in their magazine, their newspaper, website, whatever. UCLA study finds transgender adults more racially and ethnically diverse. You'll find a link. Perry will go ahead and make that happen.
Yes, he will. Damn it. There's never end to my work.
no. I think the argument we want to talk about today, though, is are they really more diverse? Because if you look at the graphs in the link, it shows disproportionately that, well, let's just quote the link.
Yeah, let's kind of talk about it first. Yeah, so basically what this study is finding is that there's more more racial diversity among racial and ethnic diversity among transgender populations in the U.S. than the general population. That's
Absolutely.
what they found.
Yes. So, for example, 66% of the general population of the United States identify as white.
What?
What? For real. Or at least according to this poll it is. But only 55% of that demographic identify as transgender. And I know this is kind of confusing, so just think about it like this. If 66% of the entire population identify as white, then 66% of the transgender population should identify as white, right? That kind of makes sense, but that's not how it is.
No,
correct.
Not at all.
It's not at all.
Mm-hmm.
But there are higher percentages of ethnic and racial minorities in the U.S. representing as transgender.
Absolutely. For example, let's just go over the actual numbers so that we can discuss them. So, as I said earlier, 66% of the population identify as white. But only 55% of the transgender population identify as white. So there's 11%. You would think that it would be proportional.
Right.
There'd be an equal amount of transgender people in every race.
Why do you assume that it's going to automatically be an...
Well, I guess the argument is, and that's what we're here to discuss today, I just from a mathematics standpoint, it would be evenly dispersed. And that's just where my initial fall of logic would go. I wouldn't say that one race would be more prone to being transgender than another race, but that's what the data is saying.
The data is saying that there's higher incidence of transgenderism, if I may, among brown people than there is among light-skinned people, white people. So,
yeah,
I don't know what to call them when you say brown. They're kind of a shade of brown.
I think that's a respectful term, right? And is it accurate?
Easy terms would be right.
Yeah.
You're
right.
But
we always want to be respectful.
Yeah.
But for instance, what's this one? Hispanic or Latino, 15% of the population, and yet of the transgender population, 21% identify as Hispanic or Latino. So why is it so much higher? We're talking, that's 6 percentage points higher. And the argument is that actually true, or are more Hispanic and Latino people actually out?
Which could, it's interesting, given the last show we did, we could say that that there's a higher incidence of courage among racial and ethnic minorities with regard to embracing who they really are.
And here's an argument for that.
Yeah.
They've been through situations where they've already been discriminated against.
Yes.
And they've made it through it. So they said, well, this is just who I am. So why don't I've already been discriminated against, so why don't I just go ahead and be 100% genuine?
Yeah.
Whereas many white people have never been discriminated against. I know. I'm sorry. You think you have been.
Exactly. And there's another argument in there that says, the oppressed minority populations are already oppressed, so they know what oppression feels like, and so they're less oppressive of their transgender brothers and sisters.
I've already been a lower part of society.
Yep.
Why do I give a fuck now that I'm going to be authentic to myself?
Exactly. And authenticity is more important.
I think that's what it really is.
Actually, that's a good point, because if I were a white person and I was trans, not to say that I'm trying to assume that role, but if I were just like in this experiment, I would be less willing to come out as trans, because it would be the first fucking time that I might receive the same type of treatment that them brown people are getting.
It's a very fucking true statement.
Right?
That's terrifying.
Right?
To have to do that.
Wow.
So my argument would be, and we were having a discussion before the show, that it's not this graph we were looking at isn't actually representative. I believe that it would probably be closer to a cross the line. You know, if 10% identify of the entire population identify as Hispanic, then 10% of the transgender population would identify as Hispanic also. That's probably where they lie. I don't know that there's any evidence at all that suggests that being Latino or Hispanic, you are more prone to being transgender.
Well, and the article
that
actually
would be
says
a trait tied.
right. Well, the article says this brings up this survey brings up huge questions which they are not prepared to answer at this time.
Yes.
This creates that baseline for them to start evaluating and looking into these other studies of why are there more non-white people that in the trans community who identify with not white. You know, like is there something within society, you know, other races, societal culture that makes it easier or more prone to, or just automatically more of?
That's very interesting.
I can't, maybe, and there's a lot of research to be done, and none of us really know scientifically yet why we are transgender. It's a question we've been pursuing forever, and we will continue to pursue it until we find an answer. But if it's a genetic trait, then it could be possibly tied to your race, as that is genetic.
Yeah, it could be.
And which it could be, because there are more brown people or non-white people in the world than there are white people in the world. So if you take it from just the American poll and you look at the global size of where our races come from, right?
Yeah.
Where our lineage
You are
comes
so
from,
smart.
that maybe it's possible. Maybe there is a connection to what our DNA tells us.
Wow.
We don't know,
What do you think?
but maybe.
Yeah, what do you think? Let us know in the comment.
This could get pretty heated pretty fast, and I like this because it spurs discussion a lot on several different avenues. One, racial equality, and then gender equality as well. So this is a really interesting combination of those two arguments.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to read the comments on
Yeah, so am I.
Mm-hmm.
Sponsor message?
Yeah. So today we're brought to you by The Velvet Rope. It's Portland's premier adult sex positive social club. You can find them at the www.thevelvetropepdx.com. And if you mention that you saw, if you heard about them from us, they will give you 50% off your membership dues.
So don't forget to mention the Trans Amorous Network.
Let's end this episode here and pick up the next issue on a separate episode so we have nice
this.
little short ones.
All right.
Men, step up. It's your time. There's a group on Facebook with 30 of you mothers.
At least one.
At least one. You're not the only ones out there. And those 30 guys, they're supporting one another. So let us know that you're watching the show, and we'll connect you with that Facebook group, and the population will grow.
And to those gentlemen, thank you for actually stepping up.
Thank you
for your
so
courage.
much for stepping up.
Right, bro.
Until next time.
Bye.